this is Heidi from Garden Crossings, and today we are up at the Northern Michigan Garden. It's a little blustery and cold today, but we're going to take a walk through the garden and just see what's emerging, what the deer have or have not touched. This is a Zone 5 garden up here in Northern Michigan. So just to kind of give you an idea of the different plants that we can grow here in a Zone 5 area. So let's go ahead and take a walk and check out the gardens. So we're going to start down here at Lakeside and show you the gardens here. So last fall when we were going to come up to do the garden maintenance, we had snow on the ground. Probably, I think that was when we had about 10 to 12 inches of snow on the ground. And so we didn't get to it. So we're going to have to go ahead and get all this area trimmed up. But I did want to show you what is starting to emerge. So some of the things that are starting to emerge, we've got some allium down there that's starting to emerge. Looks like we got a little friend here visiting, a little dog. Kind of cute, neighbor's dog. I'm so sorry. So we've got a rose bush that's starting to leaf out here a little bit. Looks like my bleeding hearts are starting to return. Another little bleeding heart there. It looks like all the bleeding heart are doing really good. Those are the pink diamonds bleeding heart. We also have the heuchera, and that's starting to emerge. I believe this one here is the wild berry. Atlas rose is starting to leaf out a little bit. Got the pulmonaria. I'm surprised this hasn't started flowering yet. It is pretty cold and it hasn't been very warm up here, so maybe I shouldn't be surprised. The allium millennium. And what we'll do here with the allium is we're going to just go ahead and trim off all these tall sticks, and that will look fine. Now, I did have some people asking me lately for a little update on the ajuga hill, and here we have it. This is the hill of ajuga, and this was a great idea until it wasn't. And the part where I mean until it wasn't is, so Rod trimmed all the little scrubby trees that were kind of in this area here. He trimmed them all down just to kind of create a nice clearing. Great idea, right? Here we just kind of them all thrown in a pile. The problem is that also created a clearing for the deer. So the deer have been using this area, although it's super steep, as a runway from the top down to the lake. Ajuga typically are a deer-resistant perennial, but that has not been the case. So we thought, no problem, plant some ajuga, it'll go crazy, the deer won't touch it. But the deer, they've been nibbling on this ajuga all winter long. Now, even though they've been nibbling, it's certainly coming back and looking okay, but this would be a lot more filled out had they not been doing the nibbling. Let's just go take a closer look here. You can see this one was basically down to nothing. So it'll come back and it'll fill out nice, but when we had thought that this would just be a solid mass, the deer are kind of preventing that a little bit from happening. So excited to see how it looks this summer though, as it starts to fill out more, when the deer aren't quite as hungry for my plants in my garden and have other options. But yeah, it's going to be a colorful arrangement. I'm not even going to try climbing this hill because it is super steep, but you can see kind of all the little scuffles of the hooves. So in this little garden space here, a few things starting to emerge would be the sedum. So that's coming back pretty nice. Let's get in here and walk around. Daylilies are starting to come back. Some lupin. So we had cleared this bed totally out and planted our own things in here. And one thing I'm finding is there is a lot of lamium coming back. So lamium was in here just kind of going crazy. And there's a lot of it that's just starting to come back as well. So we'll probably try to go through and just cut some of that out because lamium wasn't really the plant we were looking for in this garden. This next level here, some more daylilies and monarda. So the monarda is just starting to emerge. Lavender starting to emerge a little bit. And then that top tier, we're going to climb up there. We've got the Let's see, this can-do hydrangeas. So they're starting to leaf out a little bit. So I'm excited to see how those do this summer. And then behind it are the little lime punch. Those haven't started leafing out yet, so we'll hopefully see some more growth when we're up here next. But but I wanted to make sure to get up here and get a video now to just show you kind of the bones of the garden before it really starts to fill out. As we head across the driveway here, we've got the double play doozy spirea, and look at that great spring color. Like, it's so beautiful, burgundy and red. We planted double play doozy because it's deer resistant, and the deer have kind of stayed away from it, so that was a bonus. Hydrangeas that need to get trimmed down. These are the mini mauvettes. These bloom off a new wood, so even if we get in here and trim them a little late, shouldn't be a problem. But you can see how it's starting to leaf out right there a little bit. Ideally, we'll just come in and trim them right about there. Butterfly bush is coming back good, which this is encouraging, because being that we're zone 5, sometimes butterfly bush don't come back excellent. But this is coming back, you know, at the base, but also on some of that old growth. So that will be really nice. A lot of weeds in here, so we'll have to, and it's an annoying weed that just goes everywhere too. There's a lot of coneflowers in here. So that, I guess, was a good thing that we left the old twigs, because it gave seeds for the birds through the winter. Also, there's some phlox right here. This is opening act phlox, starting to come back. And then we're going to kind of turn over this way and show you some more spirea. It's kind of a deer minefield in here with all the deer droppings. More of that double play doozy. Really beautiful burgundies. And you can see the deer didn't touch those, so that's great. Here we're going to be a little bit closer up to the top of the hill where the ajuga started. And it's just kind of going onwards and downwards. All right, we're going to head up to the front of the garden and see what's going on up there. I feel like this is just kind of a little bit of a messy mess because we weren't able to get in here and get it trimmed back. So yeah, when we aren't shipping all the beautiful plants out to you, we'll be able to get in the gardens here and get them cleaned up for summer enjoyment. Making our way up the hill towards the front of the landscape, which this area we did get to and got cleaned up, and you can totally tell the difference. This little area here, these are all coneflowers. So my vision for this area was just kind of a solid little planting of coneflowers, all different colors, and they're coming back really nicely. They've even seeded themselves a little bit, which is great. And then we did poke a few of the Panthatown red dianthus in this area as well. That one looks like it got chewed by deer a little bit, but that way we have some early color in this little area before all those coneflowers are ready to bloom. Up here by the front little sitting area, the Menard is coming back, gorgeous burgundy foliage, and that's kind of spreading nicely. Not too much, but just perfectly, I would say. Got some Jacob's Ladder, the Heaven Scent. That's coming up really nice. It's even got some buds on it. That's a great plant. The flowers smell like grapes. It is so cool. Bleeding Heart has a little bit of flowers on it as well. This is the Pink Diamonds Bleeding Heart. It's for full sun. I Spy Heucherella. As we head up, more dianthus kind of around this rock here. This always looks cool when it's blooming. Kind of surrounds that rock and just looks like a little mass of color. Golden Feathers Jacob's Ladder. Look at that great foliage. Like, that is just gorgeous. And then it gets purple blooms on it when it starts to flower. And you can see we've kind of poked a few of them in here. And the reason we did that is because I love using that yellow foliage in the garden, because even when things are just green or brown, those yellows, they really, really pop. Behind the chairs in the little deck area, we've got Shasta Daisy coming back, some phlox, some heuchera, the daffodils we planted, and I think those are kind of fun because it just gives us a little sprig of spring color. Matches the chairs cute. We did have to put netting around our rhododendron because the deer were eating it. And we got to it a little too late, so this is not going to flower this year. Unfortunately, I was really hoping to have a bright splash of color in this corner, but we got to it just a little too late. But I do see that it's setting buds, so hopefully next year we'll get to it sooner and get it protected so that the deer don't get at it. Heading over to the other side here. Some more heucheras coming up, some phlox, some Hecklin-Achloa all gold grass. That's what this is. Looks kind of interesting before it's actually totally grassy. Some Veronica. So yeah, things are doing pretty good here, and I'm not seeing a ton of deer damage, to be honest, in this area. Bernera is coming back. So I'm hopeful that this is going to really be pretty and filled out. All right, we're going to head on up to the road and see what might have happened up here. Up here at the road, there's a lot of grasses that are planted, but we also planted hellebore. And again, that's a deer resistant, right, perennial. The deer definitely did have a number on them. So there's one that's trying to kind of emerge, but the deer did a pretty number on it. Here's another one. At least that one's got a little foliage. We'll call that lucky. Here's one flowering. Wow, isn't that exciting? No, it wasn't me that trimmed back all the leaves off of it. That was the deer. Well, at least they left us with some pretty blooms. This one is, which one is this one? Maid of Honor. So, I mean, really, if this plant had a chance to get big, it would be a nice splash of color. Making the way around, we've got one more here. That's evident that the deer ate on. But at least they left us again a few pretty little blooms. We did see a lot of deer in our area here last winter. Like every time we were here, there's always deer, either across the street or in the yard or down by the lake. So we knew that we were going to have issues with the plants and what the deer might have done to them. In this little bed here, not a lot coming back yet. Some grass starting to emerge. And this is where we saw the deer a lot, just hanging out too. So they might have done more damage in here than what I realized. There's a candy corn spirea trying to leaf out. Irises are always pretty safe. Deer don't really touch those too much. Here's a lupin, Invincible Garnetta. This we trimmed back. It's starting to flush out a little bit there, so that's good. More irises. Here's a Pulmonaria blooming. A little welcome to spring. Another spirea. Little lime punch. That one has to get buried down in there more. I wonder if they were nibbling on it and tried to pull it out. Who knows? Black spot, that's where we burned our grasses, which burning grasses is a good way to get rid of them, but you need to be careful because depending on where you live, you don't want to do it if it's too close to your house, obviously. I have a poppy coming back. Coreopsis, this is a ton of Coreopsis here. I don't really love Coreopsis, but if the deer don't eat it and it gives us a great show of color, I'm fine with that. More Coreopsis, you can see it's just going crazy. So yeah, in this area here, it's a little early to tell just what the actual deer damage was because there's not a whole lot coming up yet. So yeah, probably when we come back in another 2-3 weeks, hopefully we'll be able to get up here and do another update just to see what continues to emerge and what doesn't. Thanks for watching. I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave your questions or comments below, and I'll get to them for sure. If you're in a deer zone and have recommendations for what you like to plant that your deer seem to stay away from, I'm sure others would value your feedback. Thanks for watching and have a great day.